Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Banu and I'm hosting you out of beautiful Istanbul on this webinar today. And let me get started by introducing myself. So I have 20 plus years in the IT industry. And for the purposes of writing it here, I kind of counted how many roles I had. So I had 16 different roles throughout my career in only 2 companies. So I worked at Xerox for 11 years, and then for the last 10 years, I'm with Microsoft. I am also an instructor at the BG5 Business Institute, and I lead a very successful team at work. I'm also a breath coach, and I do some mind coaching. So it was after I got introduced to human design and later to BG5, which is the business application of it, that the information was so useful for me in my personal life, in my career, and in business, that I knew I had to spread it as much as possible. And that is why I became a teacher at the Institute, really. And the legacy I want to leave behind is to be someone who has helped many people bring out the best out of themselves. According to human design, my life purpose is being a great teacher dedicated to explaining the same thing over and over, thus furthering education and change, always interested in what comes next. And it is interesting what Ra said in his book on the incarnation crosses, and these crosses are what taps into your life purpose. So in the book, he says these people are dedicated to explain to the other as a fulfillment of themselves. So thus they make a deep commitment in their life to be able to help others be able to explain themselves. So here I am, helping everyone to further themselves, bring the best out of themselves every day as much as I can. And I certainly hope this webinar will be instrumental in that for everyone who's joined us here today. I want to start off by sharing with you the story of Satya Nadella, who became the CEO of Microsoft in 2014. And who later wrote this book, you see right here. It's called Hit Refresh, which also is the inspirational name for this webinar. So Satya is an inspirational leader to me and to many around the world, I believe, for all that he's done at Microsoft. So he's curated a culture of inclusion, where all employees can bring their authentic self to work, where they'll be respected and treated with integrity. And there has been such a change in the company that it's also absolutely visible in the results. And having worked here for the last 10 years, I can definitely say there has been immense change around how things are done at Microsoft. So when Satya got into the office, things were definitely not in their perfect state. And there he was setting on to make a change for a company where 160,000 people work. And he did it, and he did it beautifully. So he actually put this way in the days leading up to his first shareholder meeting as the CEO. So he said, we needed to find out who we were, why we were this way, and to consider what the world looked like without us in it. And we needed to rediscover our soul. So in that book, he later goes on to say, every person, organization, and even society reaches a point where they owe it to themselves to hit refresh, to re-energize, renew, reframe, and rethink their purpose. So has your time come to renew, rethink, and reframe your purpose and to discover your soul? This is the question I want to pose to you as we begin this webinar. I believe the BG5 knowledge can assist you in your journey immensely. So Satya finishes this part in the book by saying, if it were as easy as punching that little refresh button on your browser, right? And I believe working with BG5 knowledge could be that refresh button for everyone. So let's jump in. So leadership. Let's think about it, right? When people talk about leadership, is usually under the connotation of someone who manages people or who leads them or the owner of a company, maybe. And then people will start talking about the qualities that a good leader must have, right? It can be empathy, driving results, good communication, vision, integrity, strategic thinking, and many more, right? I didn't write everything on the slide. These are all correct. But for the purposes of this webinar, uh, I want to take a different approach to leadership. I want you to think of how you can take leadership in your business, in managing your team, your relationship with the other team members at work, how you can take leadership in managing your career. And I want to use some practical examples from my own work life and career, and especially look at how BG5 knowledge has helped me to do this with much more ease. So I think all of you would agree that the times are changing. So everything from how we used to do work to how we manage our business, how we connect with our team and customers, all has changed. And business world is more complex, ever faster. The boundaries are diminishing and everything is more connected. Technology and especially advancements in artificial intelligence and 5G are changing and will change even further how things get done. And more than ever, business world is becoming more and more overwhelming. Here is what I want to pose to all of you. As leaders, as business owners, or employees, or coaches who help others, how are you going to cope with this? Are you going to continue doing more and more to cope with it? Work harder? Work longer? Are you going to do more of the same? Or do you want to hit refresh? I believe with BG5 knowledge and the alignment you can have to your true self and the uncovering of how you can connect with the other, be it your team or clients or any other stakeholders you have, is key. And if you really desire to hit refresh and make it, as easy as hitting that refresh button on the browser, BG5 and human design knowledge could be your guide to do things with ease in life. So now I want to go back to leadership, right? We've gone over the traditional ways of defining leadership. But for the purposes of this webinar, I want to take an approach to leadership that is broader than the traditional definition. So leadership is taking a lead in any area of your life that does not necessarily require authority, where you can take an intentional approach. So how can you take leadership in your business, in managing your team, or your relationships with other team members at work? And how can you take leadership in managing your career specifically? So let us now discuss a bit around how you can take leadership in your career, right? I have 3 recommendations to taking leadership in your career. So number 1 is being good at the core. So what do I mean with the core? With the core, I mean anything that's defined in your role. So the basics to your job. And what I mean by being good at the core is doing a great and superb job in your role at work, whatever that may be. So if you're a salesperson and the basics of your role would be building relationship with customers, expanding your sales pipeline, and ultimately hitting your quota targets. So being good at the core is doing a hell of a job in the basics right there. To me, success comes in 3 ways, right, at the workplace. First is having measurable success. Second is learning and growing while you are doing that, and having your team learn and grow at the same time. And number 3 is enjoying it all along, right? All along the way, and feeling satisfied and successful and happy about this role that you spend a great portion of your life on. The second recommendation that I have is being intentional about your career. So, with being intentional, I mean really owning it, leading it, not let it be that you wait for someone else to own it. So, your career is not your managers, your bosses, or the HRs to manage. It is for you to manage. So, I encourage you to have your intention in place. So, what are you doing now, and are you satisfied with it? What do you want to do in 3 to 5 years? What do you want to do in 10 years' time? Some companies have career planning templates or some motions that will help you think and work on this. There are also many frameworks readily available on the internet, right? The great thing about these templates or motions in place is they get you thinking, to do some reflection and set your intentions. And then you can make a plan on actions you want to take, people you want to meet, connections you think will help, right? Where to explore. And the third recommendation I have is building on your strengths. There's a lot of focus in the business world around improvement, closing the gaps, right? What you need to work on. What I would like to invite you is to think about the strengths you can bring and really build on. Because these strengths coming from your nature, right? It can also be from how you've been brought up, your education, or through your past experiences, right? These are your assets that you can count on day to day to help you get things done, to be successful and satisfied. And BG5 has some great insights and tools for you to help discover that. So there's some research really that says 67% of employees whose managers focus primarily on their strengths were fully engaged in their work, compared to only 31% whose managers focus primarily on their weaknesses. So, same would hold for you. I really encourage you to focus on your strengths. By the way, I think when I began, I didn't say, but I will. The plan is the first bit of the webinar we complete in around 30 minutes, and then I'll open up the floor to get your questions. Okay, so it will be a free round where we could discuss pretty much anything you wanted. All right, so now I want to tie these 3 recommendations into the career types we have in BG5. As you may know, we have 4 career types in BG5. There are builders, right, generators in HD terms. We have advisors, who are the projectors. We have innovators, which are the manifestors, and we have the evaluators. And I want to spend some time now on how you can take leadership in your career based on your career type. So let me actually see. Let's see if this works. After writing everything in itsy bitsy, I decided I would zoom on them to make it easy for you also to read, right? So builders utilize their energy by doing the work they love and loving the work they do. And the quality of how they use their energy is really key, right? So they must pay attention to what they respond to. And they'll really be truly satisfied if they're using their energy in an effective and productive way. So the life's work is vital to their well-being, for sure. Now, when we come to the advisors, when recognized, they really excel at organizing and leading individuals, right? And groups and systems. And the key to their entire design is waiting for recognition and invitation. So they can see the big picture, they can recognize the gifts and talents in others. They usually work best one-on-one. And they like mastering systems. And their success really depends on having energetically healthy people around them who acknowledge their skills and offer them their energy to work and guide. Right, if we go back to our slide and discuss a little bit around the innovators now. So the innovators, if you have freedom to create, you will really bring in something original and some inspiration forward. And the innovators are here to initiate, to get things started, to bring in new ideas, concepts into the world, right? They can really make things happen. And what they do definitely impacts others. And if they don't begin, things don't happen for them. So they have to initiate. And usually they're not here to be guided, asked, or told. And they have this ability to glimpse into the future and usually feel like they're waiting for everyone else to catch up with them, right? But the key is that innovators look to the other types to fulfill their vision. So this is important. And then when we come to the evaluators, for evaluators, the right environment is key. So in the right environment, they can really provide an objective assessment of people, communities, and businesses. And they can best express their gifts when they are at the heart of the business, or be the community or the center of a group. The thing with the evaluators is they operate on completely different set of roles, and they shouldn't be worrying about trying to fit in. And when they are really reflecting the truth, right, they're really accepting of others, and then they can teach us how to embrace diversity. And these evaluators operate. Hello, Jada. My daughter just came in. Yes, it's customary now to have children, pets into webinars. So evaluators operate best when they stay neutral and they remain unattached as the observer. So these are the 4 career types that we have in BG5. And so we discussed the builders, we discussed the advisors, the innovators, and the evaluators. What I want to do now is to take a look at how you can be intentional about your career, depending on your career type. So for builders, if you're a builder, you really have the capability to draw everything to you, right? So you just got to wait for life to bring it to you, and then you respond. So you should open yourself up to opportunities, right? Connect with others. And then you'll naturally attract these opportunities and people to you. So if you are intentional about something, you will attract it towards you. Yes, Natalie is saying, yes, we are magnetic. Yes, exactly. It works like a magnet, right? So just trust that you can drive everything towards yourself. So let's go over an example. For example, if you're looking for your next role, right, in a different company, or you want to start a different company, what you want to do is really get your CV updated. Maybe make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date and shining. And you could go and let a few people know you're open to opportunities. Maybe you talk to a few headhunters, right? I call this taking responsibility or being responsible. So this does not mean you're forcing things, which you shouldn't. So if you're an advisor, you have to wait for recognition and invitation before engaging. You want to open up your awareness, actively wait for opportunities to come to you. So, and I want to underline the actively waits, okay? Which I'll explain in the example later on, right? If you are really recognized, right? Someone recognizes you, your skills, your abilities to see the big picture, or your talents, or you're invited by someone, right? They invite you to an opportunity or partnership, and then based on your decision-making strategy, you can decide whether it's correct for you or not. So again, if you're looking for your next opportunity in your current company, let's say, you should make your intention known, right? For example, you could maybe get a mentor who can help you for your next move. You can let certain people know you have an intention about moving, right? You could go to HR, you could go to your manager or the owner and let them know you'd like to work with a mentor, right? And then you wait for the magic to happen. Maybe they'll propose a few people, you get introduced, right? And once that's done and you receive an invitation, that's when you actually decide if this opportunity is correct or not. Sometimes what happens is when people are given the guidance to wait for the invitation, it's kind of troubling to cope with that for a lot of people, right? Because many of us have been taught to really go out and make things happen, to initiate things. So that's why I wanted to underline the actively waiting bit, right? So this waiting is not passive. You want to actively wait. So you can take the responsibility to actually let your intention be known. Or if you want to be quiet about it, that's okay too. But how are you going to manifest your intention is important, or how are you going to be really following up your intention is important. Then you just wait to be recognized or invited. For the innovators, it's a little bit easier because there's no waiting involved, right? So the mind is maybe a little bit easier. Yes. So I'm trying to read the chat, which is on the other screen. Yeah, I'll go through the chat when I'm done. Yes, I am an advisor myself. And that waiting, having to wait when I first got introduced to it was a hard one on me, right? That's why I always underline this actively wait part for any advisor, which I would recommend. And then we can discuss more if you guys have questions at the end. So innovators, they are the only type designed to go out and make it happen. So I would encourage you to go ahead and initiate things that feel correct and then connect with others. What you want to do is inform. That's like in bold before you make your move. And then because when you inform, you open the way to clear, productive and peaceful communication. For the evaluators, which are only like 1% of the population, they can best express their gifts when they're at the heart of things, right? The heart of the community, business, or the group. So this will allow them to freely go around and sample and reflect how things are working as a whole, or maybe they're not working, right? Or not. So evaluators could really be very good at facilitation, like a group facilitator. And the key things for them feeling wise to check is the environment right for them? And do things feel right? Right? Those are the key things for an evaluator, actually. Okay, I think you guys might have questions, a lot of questions here, but let us move through the building on your strengths part as well, and then I'll stop and we can discuss. Okay. So now let me come to building on your strengths, right? That was my third recommendation in being intentional and owning or leading your career. So building on your strengths, right? So BG5 really gives you valuable information about your strengths. And there are a couple of things that it will help you undiscover. So your strengths, so these two defined traits forming a channel, and we call them strengths in BG5 terminology as well. These are the strengths you can count on 724, and they're really inherent in you. So you definitely want to build on that. And then there's the penta skills. So the penta is a group of 3 to 5 people that come together. And when we are in groups, this new penta is a transauric form in itself. And when in the penta, certain skills are called out of people. And we call these skills in BG5 terms. So when you're in a group, these would be the skills you bring to the table. So these skills you can really count on. So as you can see here, we have 12 business skills. So we have administration, we have implementation, which is sales, accounting, planning, vision, capacity, etc. And you may have one or more of these defined in your chart as a strength to build on. The other thing is your public role. So the public role describes your authentic character on the stage of life. It's like your costume. It's like the mechanical potentials that we have. And it really frames the specific ways we interact with as well as impact others. So your public role, as defined in BG5, will also be your strength that you can really build on. So that might sound a little complicated, especially for those of you who are not very familiar with this information. So I want to go down to the details of them with some examples to help clarify. So let me elaborate on this example. So this is my chart. And a strength that I have, which is the strength of perfected form, which is the 1057. This strength is part of the integration circuitry, which is all about self-empowerment. And it's about how I am unique and different from everyone else. And it's also a creative strength, so that of creating or designing environments that guarantee survival. And I did put things here that relate to the strength. So BG5 knowledge tells me I have the ability to think on my feet, right? Which is great if you're in sales. I've used that a lot. And by simply living true to myself, I can create something healthy and beautiful with my life. I'm here to create what I love and love what I create. And I enjoy perfecting the form of things, anything that comes into my realm, including my own and the other's behavior. So looking at what I do, this strength has been very useful for me. And although I knew I could do these things, openly understanding that these are inherent in me have helped a lot. I, for example, will design systems or engines that work regardless of the people who run them. Let me give you an example. Like I created a sales management model for our distributors, which was target and KPI driven, that made sure that the business was continuing at the level we wanted. Another example is like I designed a framework called the Genuine Engines for Middle East and Africa, where we make sure original versions of our products are sold better. And then I lend these motions or these models to the geographies so they work and deliver results. So building on your strengths is key. And BG5 will help you understand what these are and articulate them better in a sense. If I move to the Penta skills now and take a sip of water. So let us now look into the Penta skills, because these are, again, strengths that we can bring to the table, right? So again, this is my from my chart. You can see here, it comes out of this part of the chart. So I have sales, I have administration, and I have commitment. So let me elaborate a little bit on it. So I'm a salesperson, and well, later on, I became a manager, of course, but I call myself a salesperson. And I didn't know this until it came my way. So the first 10 years of my career were spent on marketing and on operations and some business development. And when I stepped into sales, I figured out this was something I could do very well, but I didn't do it in the first 10 years because it didn't come my way. So BG5 tells us someone with this skill the implementation, which is the one, has the ability to get things out the door into the customer's hands, to take a vision and to find creative ways to implement it out into the world. And had I known about BG5 20 years ago, I would have definitely started in sales. I definitely would. But it came my way later. But you guys are lucky, maybe. You're getting to know things maybe much earlier. And never is too late anyways, right? I also have the skill of administration. And according to BG5, someone with this skill is really someone who's designed to be influential, being able to provide a vision for a new direction and show people really how to do it without necessarily doing it for them. So it's the ability to put a plan into action and making sure everyone fills in the roles and does the necessary work. So this skill is again something I have really built on. For example, I was the business manager for my team, right? Looking at the numbers, where's the market going? Are we addressing it properly? Is everyone doing what they're supposed to do, right? This really helped me also in my people manager role, being able to coordinate and influence things this way. On top of this, I also have commitments. So this is the ability to help a group commit to a goal and achieve it, to create a sense of loyalty. It's like the all for one and one for all type of thing. And this also has been a strength that I lean on a lot, right? When I first took over my Middle East and Africa role, I had to have like sales and marketing managers commit to drive a new plan, which they did, and I believe I was able to do it well thanks to this. So it also helps with my team right now, the team that I'm managing. They're really willing to commit their time and energy to make the business work. So think about if you knew all the details to your own design. What can you build on, right? What can you lean on and work on it? Not everything is visible or known to us sometimes, just like my experience in sales. And BG5 knowledge can make it very easy for anyone to be able to discover these, because everything starts with awareness, and then you take it from there. So another thing I mentioned on building your strengths is the public role. The public role describes your authentic character on the stage of life. So it frames the specific ways on how we interact and impact others. And it indicates how we really fulfill our purpose. So in my example, here you can see I'm a 6'2". It comes from this part. Okay, let me show it on this screen. On this part of the chart, the 6 and 2. And this means I'm a leader, a role model, and a natural talent. So by BG5 definition, I am someone who is an objective observer who leads by example as a role model. This is also something I've built on, definitely. For example, I lead my team by example, and it is a natural rhythm for me. Let me give you an example. There are some semi-technical certifications that salespeople can go through at Microsoft. And right now, I'm trying to get my certification soonest so I can lead my example in my team, right? I have to, if I get the certification first, I'll be a role model to my team, really. So they also invest their time and energy into learning these and then being certified. So with this, I've shared with you some highlights from what I have discovered with BG5 knowledge and how I build on these strengths. And I just picked some examples, right? I didn't go into the details, but I wanted to highlight some of the things that you could discover for yourself. I would really encourage all of you to do the same, right? Get to know yourself and get to know what you can build on. It definitely makes a difference in that sense. Hmm. So alignment. Alignment is a buzzword that we hear a lot in the business world, right? It's like, are you aligned with your regional counterparts? Are you aligned with your customers' needs? Are you aligned with your partners? Right? It seems alignment is key on all fronts. We hear it a lot. But for me, the real question is, are you aligned to your true self? So if you're ready to take leadership in your career, in your business, or any part of your life that relates to work or anything around material gains, right? And if you're really ready to hit refresh, I invite you to get to know yourself better through BG5 for sure. So that in a nutshell concludes what I wanted to share with you guys on this webinar. So I'm going to move to my last slide, which says thank you for listening to me. And these are my contact details and my LinkedIn. And now I want to open up the floor for questions. I intentionally left this time at the end, so maybe we could do some discussions. And Natalie is also here to answer any questions you have. And we'll take it from there. So, Natalie, if you could help me, because I wasn't able to read the chat as it sits on this. Okay, let me bring it to this screen
Yeah.
now.
No, it wasn't. There was one question from Grace about the business skills, and since you showed your chart of your part, and then the penta chart with your business skills, and they are colored in red, but red is just a color for a person.
Yes.
In the penta chart, so she assumed it were unconscious traits, but that's not the case.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was a great question. So
You
it's
want me to go back to that slide so
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
can
please. So
understand
we
it better?
can,
Let me.
yeah,
Okay, here, this one.
yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So
So
the upper part is the penta, right?
yes, and it
you
comes out of here
yeah.
actually.
So that's the part of Benu's design, and you see there are conscious traits, the 1 and the 31,
Yes,
right?
they're in black,
Yeah,
and then my commitment is in red, so it's
yeah,
unconscious.
yeah.
But then when you put it onto the software gives everybody that's in the team a different color, and it starts with red for, or it did start with red when I was doing this. So if this would be me on the team chart, and then somebody else would show in a different color, and everybody has a different color, so you can tell who brings what to the table.
Yeah. Yeah, and I presented the maps in the previous
You did?
talk. So yeah. So people are probably familiar with. So yeah, please open it up. And Amy, I'd love for you actually to share what you wrote.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Where did it's gone away. Where did it go?
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Okay, I think here it is. I just wanted to tell you, Bonnie, because I'm not in the corporate setting. I used to be in a larger organization, and I have been completing all of my BG5 certifications. But to hear your super accessible and practical examples of how all of these pieces work in a larger organization is just like so helpful, inspiring, and exciting.
Mm. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And these were only just some samples I picked around just managing your career with BG5 knowledge. And then there's also a whole chunk around how I use it with my team, right? How do I manage my team? How do I actually ask things to my builders? I have an innovator marketing manager, And if we're going to start something, I ask her to lead it, for example. So there's so much you can do with BG5 knowledge in business life, whether it be a corporate setting, small business setting, or maybe you're working on your own, because it's understanding yourself, but also to understand how you connect with the other. It's very important how we connect. And BG5 will actually help you on that too. And in business world, you connect to everyone, right? Your boss, your customers, your partners, your team. It's all about connections and diversity. Everybody is different. And just to understand it and how your personal mechanics work, it really makes a difference.
Yeah. And I'd like to know from you, Banu, so how did it make a difference for you as a manager leading your team, right? Before knowing this and then having this information and applying it?
Yeah, so let me elaborate on that, Natalie. Thank you. I think the most important part of it was for me to understand the unique differences that everybody has. So just to have studied this knowledge or this information, I know everybody is so different by design, and I know they have all been conditioned differently as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't put my people into silos. I try not to put my people in silos, right? Let me not be that bold about it. But like, I don't say a salesperson should be 1, 2, 3. And then I try to push all my salespeople to fit that role or that skill set that I have defined. So just accepting that there is everybody is different and has made an immense difference for me. So by observing where their strengths are, what are the skills they have, then I can actually do different things with them. So just like I said, my marketing manager and innovator, so I will usually ask her to lead on such stuff. Or even if the builders are going to be working on it, I put her into the group so she can really initiate things or really push them to make it happen, which she can. So it's really helping in that sense.
Yeah, wonderful. We have another question from Amy Wu. So how do you work less and conserve your energy in sales being an advisor versus 70% of the workforce being builders?
So I think two things I want to share on this. So when I first started, I didn't know anything. I didn't know much about BG5, right? And because I was conditioned, as many of us are, that I have to go and make things happen. I have to be successful. I have to be, hitting the numbers. I really worked myself hard, really hard, right? And then I never said no to anything that came my way. Oh, Banu, will you do this? Yes, I'll do it. Even people didn't ask me. I jumped to do things, okay? Who wants to take notes? Me. Who wants to do this? Me. Who wants to organize the next, customer event? Me. And then because I also have my ego center, it's not, my willpower is not defined, right? Then I found out like I was doing all this stuff because I had it undefined. That was such an aha moment for me. When you have it undefined, you always have this bar that you want to touch. And then the moment you come to that level that you did what was supposed to be done, the bar goes higher. You have to do more. And this is just for me to feel that I'm a good Banu, right? So in the beginning, I took it hard on me. Then when I started learning about honoring your design, about what my design was, I started letting go of things. And because I'm now more conscious around what I say yes to, I wait for that recognition. I wait for the invitation. And things have been going with much more ease because I'm not really pushing myself to do more. I no longer am. And like another example would be, because as advisors, we're able to see the big picture. I always went in to give advice. If I saw something, I just went and told people. In the team meetings, I told people. If a teammate was doing something or they could improve something, I just went and told them. And then when I found out that I need to be recognized before I share this wisdom, it really made a difference. Because before, when I shared my wisdom, for example, people didn't take it. They didn't hear me. I was like, oh, Miss Know-it-all, who kind of offers advice on anything.
Yeah.
And I no longer do it. So if you stop doing those, you really conserve some energy, right? which has helped me in that sense.
Yeah, and I have a question. Sales really sounds to me like, and that's probably just the way the world sees it. Like you have to make it happen. You have to go out there, right? How, if you are to be invited for sales, that sounds contradictory.
Yeah, but then the system, if you're a salesperson, especially in more corporate or business world, there's some sales motion going on already, right? So you, for example, you're given a set of customers. They usually need stuff. They have been identified as customers for a reason. Or you're given some, like a partner set to manage. You manage, for example, they could say you manage these 5 big partners, or you could manage 2,000 partners, like the breadth, where, smaller resellers. But you're usually given a turf, even in sales, to actually have that invitation and everything going.
Okay.
So it happens on its own. And then for I've had a lot of big projects come my way. So the more aligned you are to your true self, your energy kind of organizes everything for you. So you'll get this extra deal that came your way. You'll find you'll probably hit your numbers, right? And if you don't make your numbers, the good thing is I've learned not to take it hard on myself. Yeah. So for example, when Corona hit and we went into lockdown around March in Turkey, we had a forecast, and of course we couldn't deliver the forecast because people locked their stores and they went home. So they didn't need software, at all. So sales diminished. But then you have to think, if things are not moving in where we originally thought it would, how do I now manage this part correctly? And I tell the story right? Being a salesperson is not just doing the sale, but actually going back inside and sharing with people how you've done the sale, how you managed your business. So then if you put the picture right, this is what's going on in the market, right? This was a worldwide phenomenon anyways. Everybody knew it, right? It was happening to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you manage your story right. So I adjusted my forecast and we delivered above the forecast. So,
yeah. Oh, wow.
And then you don't take it very hard on you that you don't do those numbers, right? You do your best. That's what I always encourage or advise my team to do. If we know we did our best, we gave it our best shot, and things things always don't happen, and for a reason probably that we don't know, it's okay. But then, I proudly I manage the best team in my region, so we're the best delivering on our numbers. Which reflects
BG5. Woohoo! No.
Well, yes, I'm thankful to BG5. If I didn't have this knowledge, I wouldn't be the manager I am. I know that.
I think it's so powerful to recognize. I mean, you need to be recognized and invited, but for anybody to be recognized as who they are, then you start flowering. Then you start, and you are able to really recognize a person on your team and pull out their talents as an advisor. So it's really wonderful. And yeah, and actually for everybody, just knowing type, just the simple examples you give are so powerful, because if you just approach a person by type and ask questions to a builder and initiate or whatever for the innovator to be able to initiate, to be able to lead and take action, right? And then if you have advices to invite them, right, and not tell them what to do to respond to, right? So, and then you get a different flow already. And
Yes.
yeah, I think
Yes.
everybody in the world wants to be recognized, and I think it's something we're moving more and more to. But this information really helps. It gives you tools. It gives you
Yeah, it definitely does. And the business world is kind of picking up on it. Everybody talks about diversity and inclusion. D&I is the big thing, right? Everybody talks about it. But then when you say right now, people usually diversity and inclusion, they'll talk about, increasing the female mix, having more Black Lives Matter, like having more African Americans get jobs, or it could be the sexual orientation. So these are the ones that business world is currently picking up on. But what the business world needs to notice is that no matter, even if you're not part of a stereotype that business world has picked on, we're all different. So the business world is getting there. It knows it needs to recognize the diversity and include everyone, right? To bring their skills to the table, to build on their strengths. The business world is getting there, right? There's some more awareness than used to be.
Yeah. And Amy Wu has another beautiful question. So does Microsoft recognize and support BG5, and how did you bring it into the company?
Yeah, so Microsoft doesn't know the BG5 thing, of course. They know, so people around me know BG5. So it's not something we actually utilize company-wide. But we do, for example, utilize other models. Like there's the SL2 model, which is like a manager's training that all managers should take, which is about situational leadership. And there it talks about where your employee is by their design, really, or how they've been conditioned, where your employee is and how as a manager you can guide them or coach them. Or maybe they're too senior and you just need to be informed. But it just tells the manager you need to manage or guide all your employees differently, right? It doesn't use the BG5 knowledge, but there's some recognition that all employees are different and they require different things. So utilizing BG5 at Microsoft is something I really utilize for me. But there has been so much interest in it. People will come and ask me things. And I also delivered like a workshop to our Middle East and Africa leadership team in St. Petersburg. It was before the lockdown, I think, that we were there. And when I start speaking to people about it in the business world, they're really interested.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't mean I lead everything with BG5. Of course, I use the tools at work. Of course, I look at my numbers. Right. So I do my basics right, like you would do in the business world. And then BG5 just brings this ease on top of it. Yeah, and then that could be a reason why I'm just driving this superb team, right? Who's overly performing right now, because we have extra blessing or some help.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Because you have the best team number, says Amy Wood, number 8. Yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there are more questions here or anything you would like to.
If any, I'd be happy to answer them. And then if you guys, if you ask it here, we can answer it for everyone. But if you want to ask me more questions, get in contact with me. My email address is on the slide, so you can reach me and ask me if anything comes up.
I think that's a good way.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
Awesome case study.
Yes, I made a case study on myself, but I want to share it in the practical way of how I use it. Right? Sometimes you could learn it, but then if you leave it in theory, it doesn't have the same impact. So to be able to bring that knowledge once you have it in and really applying it is what makes the difference. So that's what I am working on, actually.
Beautiful.
All right. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate your time and being here. Get in contact with me if you have anything that comes up. I appreciate it. Everybody take care.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.